You think you know me?
On this day, I see clearly everything has come to life. A better place in a broken dream, and we'll leave it all behind. On this day, it's so real to me. Everything has come to life. Another chance to chase a dream. Another chance to feel alive. I've been defeated and brought down. Oh, drop to my knees when hope went out. Oh, the time has come to change my ways. On this day, I see clearly everything has come to life. Bitter race and a broken dream, and we'll leave it all behind. I'll never long for what might have been.
You can text me or email. It'll probably be easier for me.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I can do that.
Not the brightest bulb anymore. But I'm dimly lit, I guess, so that's the good news, right?
Morning, Joe.
Hey, good morning. When did you come up with that logo? That's cute.
I think in between somewhere, I was
Okay.
just kind of goofing off with logos, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I'll
Yeah.
run with that one.
All right, so it's something I didn't miss for the last 3 shows and just now noticed.
No.
Good. Okay.
No.
Wonderful.
I decided to come up with a logo for you.
Yeah.
I asked the students to do it, but they're busy with other stuff, so I was
They
like,
are.
I'll just do it myself. So I come
Nice.
up with a cohesive logo. You know, we got the nice cross guitars and the microphone, and
Yeah, just so you know, I was a drummer in high school, not a guitarist. I do have a nice guitar,
I didn't
though.
know that though.
Yeah, I actually have, it's red, white, and blue. Hee-haw.
Really?
Yeah. Mrs. Creeshow, I think is her name, was an accordion teacher in Westfield.
Okay.
When we were very little. So we took accordion lessons. My sister did, and I think I took guitar.
So that you have in common with Bob Plass.
The accordion?
Yes.
Imagine that.
I'll tell him that. He'll get a kick out of that one.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I took 3 guitar lessons because your hands got really weird, and
Yep.
that was the end of it. And for some reason, I have nothing else from my childhood, but I still have that original guitar in its case.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I tried playing bass guitar for a while, and I might think about picking it back up again. Now that a little bit older, if I get some time.
Well, I'll tell you a
That's
little
the biggest thing is time.
and I'll tell you a tidbit. So I played drums all through high school, right? I think I traded them for a set of Matco tools, which was probably the best thing I ever did. So now we're older, and apparently I wasn't that good when I was younger.
Yep.
At our church up in Southwick there, upstairs, there's a bunch of old folks that get together on Thursday night at 6 o'clock, and they have a jam session, and people come in with guitars, flutes.
Sure.
It's finally blossoming into something. So there is a drum set that sits upstairs all the time now.
Oh, up in the new hall?
Yeah, up in a new hall. So you put your headsets on, and you guess what? I still suck. that's what I learned.
But you know what?
But you can't hear as good anymore, so it doesn't sound too bad.
I mean, Harry Rock,
Yeah.
right, did not play the guitar till after he retired.
Wow.
He never played guitar.
Right. He's done
And
very
he's
well.
pretty good at it,
He is,
right?
yeah.
Right? So there's hope for us.
No, there's no hope. But anyways, it is fun to go up there though and bang around on some drums and remember the old days. That's for sure.
I saw you have a binder about 3 inches thick.
I do.
You're loaded for bear today.
Well, I am. This is the town budget that, 1 or 2 people show up at budget hearings for the last 2 Saturdays.
That's what Kenny said.
And if there wasn't an election, there'd be no one in the room.
Did anybody show up on the Zoom side of it? 'Cause I think that was on Zoom, wasn't it too?
I don't want to misspeak, but probably one or two.
Yeah. I've noticed that when I go for my budget hearing
Yeah.
for city council, it's usually only the department heads and maybe like one or two people.
Yeah.
Anybody that's going to be in front of finance that night is usually there.
Yep.
And beyond that, there's usually nobody there.
Right. And the finance, yeah, and you're absolutely right. Department heads showed up when they were supposed to. Everyone does their little 5-minute spiel.
Yep.
But I don't know, it's not depressing. It's just probably sad that they complain about their taxes, but yet nobody is, I guess that's what we're tasked for, right? So,
Yeah, you know what it is? I've
yeah,
noticed.
Please tell me.
I've noticed that nobody wants to deal with the drudgery of it.
Yeah.
They all want to say, like, there's a hot button issue they want to get involved with.
And then they go away.
That directly affects them, and then there's nothing.
Right.
And the people that actually are involved in the city government are few and far between.
Yeah.
I mean, I did my stint on the dispatch committee before our Westfield, dispatch
Yep.
board dissolved.
Right.
And I didn't ask for I think there's a mayor's appointment on the new combined board or something. I didn't ask for that because, I got plenty to do for the mayor. So
Right.
I didn't need something else on my plate. But I enjoyed the service,
Yeah.
I mean, I do service here a lot for stuff. And yeah, it's my job, but I do over and above that,
Oh, absolutely.
But I thought it was kind of cool having that service part of being involved in city government,
Yep. I agree. I guess I'm fortunate.
Something that was cool about it.
Yeah. And I guess I'm fortunate enough. I don't even know if I should say it that way, but I was asked a million times to go to the finance committee.
Yep.
Since I wasn't so much in my other role as an elected official. And I said no, I think 20 times.
Right.
And then they finally cornered me. I couldn't get to the exit. and
That's what happened on a few boards I've been on.
yeah, and I went
Oh,
there.
by the way, you're the president of the board. What?
Well, that was the second meeting. I went to the first one and said, "Hey, I'm here," and I don't think I was. I don't want to say because that's not the right word. I don't know what the, you know how it is. Oh, this kid's here. Okay, great.
Yep.
Right. I walked in and basically said, "I'm a soldier. Don't need to be in charge, but there is some knowledge that comes with this jug, and we'll go from there."
Right, and that's the other thing about city government too, that when people retire or leave office or something, there's institutional knowledge that walks out the door.
It truly is.
Especially if you're a long-serving selectman or
anything.
councilman
Yeah.
or park and rec board member.
Whatever that craft is that you've been stuck at for 9 years or 5 years or 4 years, you have to pick up knowledge. Whether you think so or not, you end up picking up the knowledge of that particular department or board. Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And when that knowledge walks out the door, now you got to start from scratch, train somebody new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm on my third mayor now. I mean, let's be honest. I'm on my third mayor. And each time, whether they think they know what I do or not, I re-educate them.
Yeah.
And that takes time.
It does. It does. And I think our second meeting, I ended up being chairman of the finance committee. Wasn't impressed by doing that. It was the last thing I ever wanted to do. But I cherish it now. It's been a few months, and it is interesting because sitting in the other board, and I hope people don't get offended, but
It's a difference
Selectmen,
between.
I'm sorry. All three of you guys, I'm so sorry for what I'm about to say. And Jason's new, so he hasn't experienced this yet. And he
Right, this is his first
it's
budget
his
meeting.
first budget meeting. They had a meeting this week one night. We had our meeting the day before, and they did fine. But poor Jason, he refers to the other two because he just doesn't have the knowledge yet.
Right.
And that's an intimidating book.
But again, that's the thing. It's like now he's got to learn from scratch.
Yeah, and he's doing fine.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because when I sat in that board for whatever years it was, and I don't mean any disrespect out of this, but the bottom line is I felt we treated finance committee as a redheaded stepchild. It's there. They showed up for budget hearings. We all kind of got along. Whatever they said yes and we said no, we would talk about it, and most of the time it ended up being whatever the selectmen wanted or yes.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But sitting in the finance committee seat now,
Whole different animal, isn't it?
if I had my way out of life, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
I think that any town, if you want to become selectman, you got to do a 3-year stint on the finance committee first. Because there's so much more you learned that for 9 years I didn't know. We assumed, right? We yep it to death. We have probably 7 hours into this budget on the finance committee side. The other night was, I think, 3.5.
7 hours of hearings.
No, well, we've had 2 days of hearings, and then we personally have 7 hours of meetings of just going line item by line item, looking back 3 years, speculating.
Looking at projections and things like that. Yep.
Everything. And my board is our board is so diverse, which I didn't think would work when I walked in. I'm like, oh, God. But every person on there has just got a different personality, a different spectrum from where they are in life, and it's worked out extremely well. I'm very surprised to the fact that even I didn't want to. So here we come to go over the budget. I didn't want to talk first. I'm loud. I'm not pushy, but I get my point
Well, you
across.
can set the tone.
Yes, that set the tone. That's twice we've heard it in the last hour.
Well, but it's true.
No, but it is true. It truly is true. And,
It's true.
And Laura Fletcher, our lead accountant, looked at me before the meeting. I said, "How do I do this, Laura? I've been to finance committee meetings. You're stuck over there. You go to all of them. How do I not influence the board? I truly do not want to influence this board.
Okay.
There's X amount of people on that board for a reason. They all have a voice. And if Joey talks, I don't know what, I'm not saying I'm always wins, but you
Well,
understand.
because you come with a certain amount of knowledge.
Yeah. So
That people might defer to your thoughts because you come with that institutional knowledge.
yes, and egos and every other damn thing I have. So, but there's a lot of people up.
I'm
in
trying
my
to be
head.
nice about it.
No, it's all good. Today this guy's talking, or at least this hour he's in charge. But Laura she laughed at me and said, and you can be the smartest person in the room, but then all she has to say to me is, "Hey Joe, why don't you just speak last?" I'm like, oh, duh, yeah, you're absolutely right. So the interesting part when it came to voting is here I am with my opinion.
Yep.
By the time it gets back to me, I'm chuckling. Now I'm trying to save something that I thought
I got nothing.
I'm like, oh my
You guys
God.
are doing a great job. I got nothing.
A real good job. I was like, wow, let these kids speak. It's amazing. So
Yep.
so it's been pretty impressive. But then
But that also means that you guys are all invested in the job. If you're coming back with nothing at the end,
literally nothing. Like
right? That means they've all become invested in what they're doing.
yeah.
And that's awesome for city government.
It really is, and we meet once a month, and we're, how do I say, at 57, we're all different spectrums, right? I
Sure.
do have some time now to go over budgets at night and sit there and just shake my head. Other
It's
ones,
different perspectives.
everyone has, some of them have kids and they're running hard and they're showing up 2 minutes before the meeting starts because their job's in Connecticut, and you know what I mean. So it is great to see that when that block of time comes, they are invested, 100%. So,
By the way, I want to get this off my chest for the Southwick audience. In discussions with you, we've extended offers to both candidates, like we've done in Westfield. We've done, we did it in the U.S. congressional race.
yeah.
We had both. Harry had both on Richie Neal and Alex Morse in the last race, when the primary, because that was the only real race.
Let me interrupt you real quick. This is Ms. Murphy's just saying.
Okay. In the last race,
Yeah.
we extended a half an hour to both candidates. We found that format over the past 6 years,
Right.
last 3 cycles, in Westfield has worked very, very well. And we asked the same questions to both candidates.
Yeah.
You may not get even through. I know you want to plan on 10 questions. You may
Yeah.
not get through 5.
True.
You know what I mean?
I do.
You may not get through 5, but we've done this format. The hosts in Westfield that have done it over the years are Tina Gorman and Ken Stomsky,
Right.
and they've given significant amounts of time on their shows to accommodate any candidate that wants to come on.
Yep. I've reached out to both of the ones in Southwick. Right now, the only contested race that I'm aware of is the select board.
I believe the newspaper agrees with you, because that's
Is that in there?
when I was boning up on stuff this morning.
Right.
The only contested race is select person.
I'm sorry, select person. You're absolutely right. So I did reach out to both of them. They both are interested in coming on.
And we'd love to have you.
Yeah. So we're gonna
Because we've done this successfully for a while. I talked to a lawyer in Springfield through mutual friends. I was at the fort with one of my friends, and she's friends with a city attorney in Springfield. And I explained to him what we do for elections, and he goes, "Holy cow. He goes, you guys seriously do that? He goes, like, you give them a whole half an hour and ask the same questions? Yep.
Yeah.
And he goes, that would be awesome for Springfield to get to know your candidates.
Right.
This isn't a forum where, 100, maybe even, if lucky, 100 people show up. This is something that we do as a half an hour interview, and it's on YouTube after that. So you can watch it at your convenience, which is the big thing today.
Oh, it is.
Because people don't always have the time when we're airing stuff
right.
to watch it. But we're extending that invitation, and I think it's important. Honestly, this has been one of my things since we started with this. It's important that the public hears from the candidates in more than just a couple of sentences in an interview in the paper or a couple of sound bites on the TV news, because they can't devote the time that we can.
Right. Very true.
So that's my soapbox for today.
Yeah, that's fine, and I think we'll do something. I've been sitting on the bench over this whole thing, or whatever you want to call it. And,
you asked me about this a little while ago, and I was like, I think this
did.
is great.
Yeah, and I talked to both of them. We got to get through Easter,
and then we got to get through us being gone, because Kenny and I are gone next week.
Oh.
Next week we're here.
Okay.
Chef Showdown. If we can schedule something, the studio's free.
What is the Chef Showdown?
This will be our second season of Chef Showdown. Students in culinary compete with 3 different rounds of competition, and we crown like a top chef of culinary.
Oh,
so it's a cooking competition that last year I think was 3 episodes. They're going to do the same thing this year, and a whole bunch of students in culinary are competing. And this year I don't have to buy anything.
is there an audience for it? Or is it?
Say
no. Just say no.
Sort of.
Okay.
Sort of. I mean, some people, we really didn't have an audience last year.
I would love to sit in on that.
If you'd like to, I'm sure we can arrange that.
Okay.
I know we have some of the chefs around town are going to be help judging.
Yeah, I don't. That's good. I'm just.
Yep, help judging. I know Monica's coming in. I think Kyla Cordes is coming in, and there's one other chef. Yeah. I mean, so much so that Kenny got bumped out of the judging role this year. So.
Well, I would expect that.
No, he was pretty good last year. He was pretty good last year, actually.
No, I'm sure he's very good at it, but I would expect him being bumped out.
Well, now this year we have a little bit more exposure.
Yeah.
Last year, it was so brand new that I bought fillets for the students to cook with in the final cook.
Oh, nice.
I bought the proteins. This year, they went out and got different shops around town to underwrite it.
Nice.
By donating product.
Yeah. We did.
So it should be fun.
The Westfield State had a job fair.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, how was that? Because I know we had canceled all our shows that day because they were all up there.
Yeah, it was. Wow. So, these younger kids, my daughter, like 4 to 5 days before, sends me this TikTok video of, I'll bring it next time. We'll do one here. You take the fruit roll up.
Yep.
You lay it out.
Yep.
Ice cream, teaspoon, tablespoon. Then you fold it like a Chinese fortune cookie.
Yep.
Give it 30 seconds in the corner, and it hardens. Like cone dip would harden on a soft serve cone when you dip it.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. So here we go. We're going to go to this
ice cream demo.
Oh, yeah, ice cream demo. The folks from North End Creamery were like 2 over from us. I got to meet them. I in the past.
Is it new owners with Northside?
A couple years now, yeah. Joe sold it a couple years ago. And the new owner, must have passed each other a few times here or there, and I've been told, the guy's over there, and he's been told Joe's over there. But
sounds like a potential guest down the road.
I'd love to have him on. That'd be funny. We can talk ice cream.
Yeah.
Actually, now we could talk ice cream.
Because you can do
rephrase
whatever you
that.
want now.
Probably not have him on. My understanding is his wife makes it all. Ooh. So the wife we'd have to get on, and I did not meet her.
Or we could do it up there.
Yeah, I could do it up there. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Definitely.
Yep.
So we did this little TikTok thing. Now, mind you, I couldn't find the skirt for the table. It's Joe, right? So I couldn't find a sign to put behind the
banner. Yeah.
I said to the kids, just all wear Militia shirts. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
So that's what we did, and there must have been 60 vendors there as a whole.
Oh yeah, the superintendent said it was well attended.
It was. So of course we start with this little ice cream thing. My line's probably 100 deep. And
because Joe brought ice cream.
Joe brought ice cream, and I'm laughing because the kids were great. It renewed my faith in what kids are doing today because Well, unfortunately, they were told to ask questions. They had a sheet with questions on it.
Yes.
And after
it was almost like a mini interview.
It was, but they were trying to interview us.
Yep.
Like, so, sir, what are your hours? I'm like, this guy, you want my hours? You don't want my hours. My hours are 4 a.m. till midnight. You don't
the
want,
shop hours?
Yeah, you don't want to know what Joey does. What do you really ask?
I work on a farm.
Yeah, I said, so the kids, yeah, I had two great, Abby and Jane, both from Westfield, went through Westfield High, both now in college.
Yep.
So there's a little connection there because they're Westfield, so they know some of the teachers that are in the audience, that kind of thing, or guidance counselors, I should say.
Sure.
So after like the third person asking me what my hours were, and I'm pointing to my two staff saying, well, one might work 4, one might work 8 a shift, that kind of thing. You don't want to know what I do. Finally, I just looked at him and I said, you know what? And it's a little sticker to do this little game, tic-tac-toe or whatever, which we ran out of stickers quickly. I was laughing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So basically, when the kids came up, I said, nope, put your questions away. You'll get a sticker. Ask me a real question. And we had great conversations as I'm making that product, as they're waiting in line. So, I have these kids for 3 minutes, right? Each one I get for 3 minutes. They're stuck with me.
Yep.
And I'm smiling like, you're not going to get the cookie unless you ask a real question. It's real simple with me. So it was a great time. My only complaint, and it was about Westfield Vocational. It was about right in this building here. They need to do a better job, and this is just me, marketing who those kids are, like what classes they are in. So some of the guys had
by shop?
Had shop, chef clothes on per se.
Yep.
So, I could grab them real quick. Hey, where you working? What are you doing? We're always looking for people, right? Desperately.
Yes.
And had great conversations with the kids. The machine shop guys, I think, were kind of, the automotive guys were lettered up. But
so every shop's supposed to have a uniform. How many of them actually
wear
enforce
them?
that?
Yeah.
Is the issue.
They really need to next year.
I know it's tough around here. What they do is they make their own. Basically, the kids here make their own T-shirts.
No, I get that, but like the
they're
electricians,
supposed to wear them.
I had more fun talking to the electricians only because my son went through the program here.
Right, and the aircraft guys all have the very spiffy uniforms.
Yes, they do. Yeah, and some. So like I said, some kids had them on, and I could talk electric all day. My kid went through the program. He's extremely successful today.
Yep.
So I'm looking at these young kids going, just listen to the teacher. You don't realize how much money you're going to make down the road. You're going to do 4 years somewhere for night school, get the code classes done, and the sky is the limit for you guys, So I personally had a great time. I think we got about 35 applications emailed
That's
to us.
awesome, because I know the past 2 years you've been struggling.
Yeah, we have a great crew, but it's always good to have a few more. But it was a great program. So as soon as you said the cook-off, I was like, ooh, I'd love to be a part of just listening in and seeing how they're doing. Because you have some great talent in this school on all different levels, and that was apparent at that trade show.
I'll make you a copy of the schedule so you can peek in.
Do that,
You can
so
pop
I can
in when
pop
you want.
in. Yeah, I would appreciate that.
I'm sure they wouldn't mind you. I'll give them a heads up that you might be popping in on the show.
Yeah, trust me, I'm not a chef. I'm an entrepreneur. There's a difference.
I know.
There really is.
But you could judge the dessert round.
Oh, God. No, that's all right. I just want to listen in. All right, so, town of Southwick. What is it? It's 9:24. We've discussed nothing.
We don't have to take a break if you don't want to. We
That's
can just
fine.
keep going.
The only thing I got to do is I just got to.
At some point, we could take a break, but we don't have to.
You keep talking. I'm going to send you that email I got so you can maybe put it up if
Okay.
you have a copy of it, right?
Yeah. What do you want me to put up?
It's
the warrant?
Yeah, it's numbers to do with the town.
Okay.
So let's see here, Joey.
I like it. You want to take the break so we can do the?
Let's take the
do
break.
that?
Let's take it. We'll be right back, folks.
He came from somewhere back in how long ago. The sound of the fool don't see, trying hard to recreate what had yet to be created. Once in her life, she musters a smile for his nostalgic tale. Never coming near what he wanted to say, only to realize it never really was. She had a place in his life. rises to her apology. Anybody else would surely know he's watching her go. But a fool believes he sees. The wise man has the power to reason away what seems to be is always better than nothing, and nothing at all. Keep sending him somewhere back in her long ago, where he can still believe there's a place in her life. Someday, somewhere, she will return. She had a place in his life. He never made her think twice. As she rises to her apology, anybody else would surely know he's watching her go. But a fool believes he sees. The wise man has the power to reason away what is love can come and love can go. To be I can't know it's always better than nothing. Who got the power and nothing at all? Oh, now.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for Arts Beat, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
And we're back.
There we are. How are we doing?
Working on it. I'm almost there.
Oh, that's fine. So while we're still on the election discussion, I got to say one thing here. So the senior center is having, I don't know if I'm even, you hear me? Yeah. Your Vote Matters, meet the candidates. So all the candidates for this upcoming election have been invited. It is April 24th from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning at the senior center. Coffee, light refreshments. And a great time. So you can talk about the ballot questions, you can talk about the elections, whatever you like. So I know everyone's been invited. I'm pretty sure that they'll all be there. But it's, anyways. So that is on April 24th. You come by and you can meet anyone you want. That's running, hopefully, from 8:30 to 9:30 at the senior center. So that ends that discussion. All right. So I see in today's paper the town itself. We're talking about the split of the town clerk treasurer into two separate positions. So what's happening is I believe three positions are held in the treasurer collector clerk's office, and we're getting to the point where we're going to finally separate that. There's only one or two towns left in New England, or I should say Massachusetts, that still have three titles under one person, and apparently it's getting a little too busy over there. So that's supposed to get separated. I believe I have a meeting today. The chairman of the finance committee, the chairman of the select board, Carl Steinhardt, and we hired a new HR person, but I'm not allowed to talk about that because it's a Doug Moglen show coming up apparently, and Doug wants all the credit. So Mr. Moglen's like, don't grab her. I'm like, what? No.
Not yet.
No,
Yeah.
she's my guest.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all good. So I think
That's
is
fair.
he
It's
next
nice
week?
to have some competition around here.
Yeah, it is. I think he's next week. So I believe he's going to have her on. I don't know if she knows that yet. She does now. if she actually listens to the show.
Yeah, third Wednesday would be third Wednesday, right?
That's what I thought. Yeah, third Wednesday.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, because second Wednesday we all have to tape that show because we're going to be gone.
There you go. So
I'll
you
contact
should
Doug.
reach out to Doug and get that taped. Yeah. No, and that's a great great way of looking at that.
All right, Doug, if you're listening, you need to reach out to me. We'll tape it. I'll reach out to you. We'll get it done.
We'll get it done. There you go. Yep. So this year, there's 2 cruisers like usual. As far as the town finances go, they're looking to do some dredging on the Canal Brook for $6,000.
I have your documents ready to go.
Good. Put it up because I don't even know what it says. Oh, I can't even read that.
I know.
Good. Well, at least it's up there. Someone with a big screen TV can read it. I'll pull it back up on my phone.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
I could stretch it out a little bit more. I think it's
No.
because I made it too stretchy.
No, you're good. So basically, $32.9 million is funded. $10.8 million is from receipts from year 2022.
There we go.
Right, $22 million from tax levy, and email report to you. No, $32.9 million is funded, and $10.8 from receipts, and $22 million from our tax levy. So that's your budget as a whole.
I stretched it out a little bit. You can read it a little bit better now.
It's like an eye test. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Well, I can read it on the screen, so that's
good.
helpful.
There you go. Right, so the folks at home can see it.
Correct.
Yep. So that this is last year's numbers, or what we're working with right now.
Yeah, and what people don't understand is in Massachusetts, you're not allowed to deficit spend. So you can't put in a budget
Right.
more than what you're projected to make from the state. They give you projections.
But you can deficit spend in one account.
Snow and ice.
Thank you.
I've known that. Christ's sakes, I've known that since I was working for Channel 40 way back when.
Right. Yeah, you can definitely do it there. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. Our roads are in terrible shape. The Finance Committee put forward $3 million for road repair, which we know will get beat down to probably $1 million with the Select Board. We've averaged about $1 million a year back in the day. And, of course, it goes and gets bonded and what have you. So it'll be interesting to see. And we had laughed because on the finance side, it was, what do you want to do? We just won the $3 million. I'm like, oh, put all $3 million up. Let the selectmen have to whittle it down,
Yep.
So we'll see where that goes. Oh, there's a heating system and an AC issue at the police department, so we're trying to get that fixed. Like I said earlier, 2 cruisers are normal. They were going to try to do clickers for town meeting, so apparently you wouldn't have to raise your hand on something you believed or didn't believe in. You could just use a clicker, and no one would know.
Electronic
how you voted.
voting?
Yeah. We at the end of the day, if it's a hotly contested item, you don't have enough clickers. You're not going to buy 500 clickers.
Right.
Yeah. So at the end, we decided not to. You still have the paper way. You have the hand-raising way, which has worked quite well, honestly. The other issue we have is the sewage flow, the sewage fees to Westfield. Our sister city, Westfield, great people. Oh,
right.
we're
Didn't I read or remember something in one of the water commission meetings that they raised the sewer rate overall? It was the first time in a long time they had raised it.
Yeah, so there's agreements that were made years ago, pre your current mayor, and honestly, maybe Russ Fox was on the board, but other than Russ, Doug wasn't, I wasn't, Jason definitely wasn't.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah. So that agreement's coming to an end. And my understanding is the first agreement was discussed over Murphy's Donuts. That was the caveat.
Wouldn't surprise
back
me.
in the day, yeah. Which is cute to hear the stories, I'm not going to say what the donut looked like, but there was donuts. So here we are now, X amount of years later. The town of Southwick, invested into your additions to your sewer treatment plant when we brought our own pipe into town. For years, though, we used Westfield's pipe on that other side of town, of course, and then finally we made it work right to your treatment center.
Right, because that pipe now goes along the right of way of the old railroad.
Correct. Yep.
See, I pay attention.
It does, yeah. So, but unfortunately, it looks like the city of Westfield wants to charge us as your best commercial user ever. So the numbers are coming in extremely high. So hopefully, hopefully smarter people will prevail, or smarter, hopefully they figure this out and don't get too crazy on us. That's me being nice. See, that's the new me, right? I didn't swear. I didn't tell them what I really feel. I just
Right. There's room for negotiation.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like there's much negotiation going on, which I'm a little disappointed. But that's okay. My understanding is there's utilities that run underneath that railroad bed that service both sides. So I would hate for them to be shut off someday. Just saying, Joey's still a little screwed up inside, and it comes out every once in a while. See, I was being nice about that. But I thought that the towns kind of work. They really do work together. The dispatch system is up and running.
Yeah, that's gone live now, and I know that a lot of the guys from Southwick had retired, but I know
They
Bob
did.
Eck
Bob
kinda
Eck.
transferred over
Yeah.
and got his feet wet a little bit beforehand, trying to figure out procedures and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think he's helping write the procedures along with Nina up there.
He's a smart guy. Bob was very good
I
for the
love
town
Bob
of
Eck.
Southwick, and he continues to be, because you hear his voice come over the scanner now, and I chuckle. Where's he sitting? Oh, he's in Westfield.
He's sitting at the airport, is where
Yeah,
he's
he's
sitting.
sitting at the airport.
I know. I've sat in those chairs myself.
Yeah, I got the tour a million years ago, and
I think I gave you the tour. Wasn't I part of that?
You might have been, and honestly, when I left there 9 years ago, there was
a different animal.
no way we were ever going to merge.
Yep.
When we walked through that door, we were the redheaded stepchild. Like, oh, what the hell these guys want? And we left. There was Chief Riccardi, me, and I think one other person at the time, and that was never going to happen. And here we are 10 years later, and it's happened. I think I have a ton of scanners. I listen all the time. They're in my trucks, in my house. I think it's been a huge improvement. I know people didn't want to see the station. Funny, they didn't want to see the station go dark, but technically it already was dark. Even though dispatch was there, if you walked in and needed an officer, they still had to get him out of a cruiser,
Right.
So, and if you're not a troublemaker like me, you don't know those things. I learned that back in high school. But
Well, no, and it was almost. I don't know if they had a house officer in Westfield, but it was all we had when we were down there was a shift commander. There was
Yeah.
no house officer. That was one of the things when dispatch moved up to the airport.
right.
They wanted a guy as a house officer, and that wasn't always guaranteed depending on staffing levels.
Correct. And you're right. There's usually someone in the police department, at least during the day, anyways. But it's. I think it's working out fine. The difference I hear, and I don't hear everything, but if we get an ambulance call, you'll hear Westfield pipe in that there's a call coming in or there's something happening, which is usually probably 2 minutes before they tone out for something. So, the kids upstairs already got a head start on where, getting ready, per se.
Oh, they're going to give him a preamble
They
saying
kind
call
of
coming
do.
in.
Yeah, and there's a proper word for all that, right? I don't know it. I'm not that guy. But I've noticed that, there's been a big difference there.
So that's helpful response time then.
Absolutely, it has to. And I don't know if it'll ever show up, but I hear it and see it. And like I've said before, back in the day, there's one guy in dispatch. I'm sure if he had to use the restroom, an officer comes off out of a car and helps him out, type of thing, to make sure we have coverage. But just knowing now you have 2 or 3 on duty, it just flows better.
Yeah.
Especially the world we live in today. Nothing's getting easier.
Well, and that was the thing. That was the thing that the state was looking forward to, was reduce some of their costs in the hardware part, but also improve service if they could.
Yeah, and that's
That's been their goal for a while.
The budget season is amongst us, and there's a couple $100,000 that we didn't have to spend this year. I think $278 that was in dispatch. The chief's looking for 3 new officers. We actually have already hired 1, so technically he's looking for 2 more bodies, but funding for 3 is what it comes down to.
Yep.
So it's interesting they're trying to leverage that money that's sitting there. It's technically not in dispatch anymore, but there was $278,000, this as of last year. So it's been interesting between them. The fire department wants to get some more bedrooms upstairs because they're expanding too.
I saw that they're looking for 100,000. I saw.
Yeah. Oh, it was actually 200-something thousand. Then
Oh,
down
it went up.
Then down to 180. Unfortunately, with town government, and I'll get in trouble for this too.
No,
but
you're going to be
it's all
champion something. Brett Bean is prevailing wage drives him nuts.
That's an issue. But the other issue I have is some people just think they can throw crap onto a wall, and if it sticks, it's wonderful. I come from the school of I need a real quote in front of me. I need real numbers, and I understand at 10 or 20%, minus plus or minus that you got to run a contingency, and I truly get that.
Yep.
But for me personally, I'm building a new food pantry, and my quote came in almost the same quote as a wall and some doors, and I know there's more to it, and I'm not disrespecting it, but it's like you got to fine tune things. I know government, because it's helped too, right? We've done projects, and then they've come in 60,000 less, and then we have an issue. Carl says, well, actually there's 60 grand still sitting over here that we didn't use for that project. I think we can revote, take those funds, move them over here to help out where we're off, so it does work
right
in that respect, but looking at real numbers is so much cleaner if you know stuff. I guess if I was just a numbers person and didn't have my other life, I'd be okay with it, but
yep.
you know too much. So that's that. The cruisers, the 3 officers I don't think the 3 officers for the police is to quicken our response time. I think what's happening,
Well, there's two things that I might educate you on.
Yeah.
The police reform bill that was passed
Absolutely.
a couple of years ago
Yep.
wiped out your part-time reserve force.
Literally.
Literally wiped them out.
Yep.
So now to cover the staffing levels, just to keep minimum of staffing, you got to hire more full-timers because you still have to account for vacation and sick time.
And injuries. Injuries is plaguing us something fierce.
Right, and that'll do you in too, right?
Yeah. So
But the auxiliary force in Westfield has been dissolved because
literally it's gone.
I saw a posting from one of my friends that they had a dinner, kind of like a reunion and dinner, saying goodbye to the auxiliary force.
Right. Yeah.
Because those people would have to pay for all these extra trainings. They're not going to pay for that. These guys are volunteers.
Yeah, and what hit us were the hours. So as a reservist, you have to do so many hours a year. Mm-hmm. And it was a stout number, which I think totaled all of our reservists together. So one guy couldn't do. We don't have enough hours for everybody compared to what the state wants them to see now in that reform bill.
Yep.
So yeah, it goes away.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only department it didn't affect apparently was Boston because they're all full time anyways.
There you go. Right. Imagine
Big
that.
surprise there.
Imagine that, huh? Gee whiz.
Big surprise.
Yeah, so they're looking for a couple guys, and it's not about response time. At the end of the day, it's about
minimum staffing.
Minimum staffing. And the funny, I'm not laughing, but I don't. We didn't combine dispatch to save money. I don't think that was ever the intent.
I think it was more about service.
It is about service, and you had the state on your back saying you're going to merge. We're going to merge you eventually, or you can merge.
You can either come up with your own plan, or we're going to tell you who you're going with.
Right, and out west, it is like that.
Oh God, in Maryland, it's like that.
Yeah.
In most sections of Pennsylvania, it's like that.
Yeah.
There are regional dispatches all over. We train outside of the big cities in Pennsylvania and Maryland. I don't think there might be any. But it's just in Maryland, I think it's 2 regional dispatch centers.
Yeah.
And in Pennsylvania, I think it's maybe 5.
Right.
And then the big cities have their own. And that's it.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think we approved one new, I'll say it wrong, fireman, paramedic probably, whatever that version is today. That was on the docket. I think that got approved. Not all the way through yet, but through the process. So far, it's still in. Yep. Just like the policeman, it's still in the system. So nothing's final yet, but it's on its way, one way or the other. I think we have a meeting. I'm going to say Wednesday because I know it's Tuesday, but I've been saying Wednesday for the last 2 weeks. This coming Tuesday, it's a joint meeting with Finance Committee and the Select Board to finalize whatever we have left to go over.
Before the town meeting?
Well, we have to have the budgets done so they can be printed for town meeting, and you got to set your rate for the most part. So it's interesting, we have all these sheets. Like you say, there's a 3-inch book, but I still don't know what the tax rate is. So hopefully next Tuesday night we can sit down and actually see. There's 2 ways of looking at it. Either you throw everything in, and then you cry when you see your new tax rate and then start taking stuff out. The Finance Committee's approach this year was to not give out too much. There was, new trucks for DPW. We said no. 2 tractors for town departments. We said no. Oh, and I think our gut feeling was we'll see what our price tag is. What's our rate? And then if there is room, we can add. We usually take $1 million a year out of our free cash and transfer it over to to offset our tax base, which keeps it low. And there's some free cash that floats around in there also. So we'd look at the free cash and see if we can.
But that doesn't come up till late in the year.
No, so we certify our free cash off of last year.
Right, but
So we
that
still
happens in October, though.
it does. So last October it happened per se,
Right.
and we have it sitting for this coming cycle.
Gotcha.
Right. So we're like a year behind. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So we have some numbers there to play with, which a lot of times. So you have a special annual town meeting, and then you have a town meeting. The special is to approve like whatever you buy with free cash, so that way you get that ball rolling. Because when you approve the actual town meeting, it really doesn't go in effect until July 1st.
Correct.
Yeah. So
I learned a lot the couple of town meetings that I used to help with in the parking lot.
yeah, remember those days?
Yep.
I hope they don't come back.
I learned a lot, but I learned a lot about town meeting form of government.
Right.
Before, the only thing I used to know about that is my uncle used to tell me stories about going to Amherst town meeting when he lived out there.
Yeah.
When he was still alive, and the professors would come up and say their big spiel about all these great programs they wanted to do, and they had their warrant on town meeting, and and the town would vote no. And the professor came up and asked my uncle, because he knew him, because my uncle was his postman.
Right.
He'd say, "Well, why'd you guys let us do it if you knew you were going to vote it down?" He goes, "Because it was a great idea. Because our only question was who's going to pay for it."
And that's always going to be the question, isn't it?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great idea. Who's going to pay for it?
Yeah,
And I've lived my life by that, which I think is funny.
We had the school system in, and they did a nice job. They really did. They did a nice job. But we're a regional school. So basically, it's, and I apologize ahead of time if I screw this up, because I'm going to. They set the state, somebody sets the rate that you're going to have to pay.
Right.
Period.
Yes.
There's,
Per
you know,
pupil.
Per pupil, per everything.
By the way, I guess Lane Corey's been busy.
Oh, I guess they have. Look at that. So bottom line is our biggest problem with the school right now, and I hope the select board listens on all three towns and figures this out. When it comes to the vocational side,
Yep.
the kids are going everywhere. It's great. My son's a product of vocational. He's done very well. We were in West Side at the time, and I had to fight to get him to go to Westfield Folk. Literally, I believe I got stuffed in
Is it
cuffs.
depending on the program or something?
So I have to laugh, because back in the day when there was a woman involved as a superintendent in West Side, don't remember her name. There was probably 11 kids that wanted to go to Westfield Folk or vocational in general.
Yep.
And nobody knew nothing, right? You did the paperwork, you filled everything out, yada, yada, yada. Here we are 3 weeks before school starts. I don't have an answer. Then the answer is no. And I'm like, why is it no? You know? Now, and I'm a jerk, so my kids went to St. Thomas, right? So I'm that attitude of, geez, I pay in the school system for the last 8 years. I never got anything out of it.
Right.
With my taxes, right? And I am not complaining. So here it is. My son is way too much like me. My daughter, straight A student, she'll go anywhere, you know, and she did. She went to West Side High, breezed right through it.
Yep.
You know, I don't think she even studied. But Ron had issues. He was younger, the tongue to brain thing, and we spent lots of money up in East Long Meadow at one of those tutoring places. I think I have a block on the wall from the Deedy family, a brick for $20,000. You know, and best money I ever spent. The parochial school at the time, I think it was 7th grade, said, we're going to keep Ronnie back because, you know, he's stuttering, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, where were you in 1st grade?
Yeah, right.
I ain't keeping this kid back in 7th grade. No way in heck, you know?
Right.
I did stay back in 1st grade at St. Mary's, so, and
I never stayed back, but I went to a speech language program for tongue thrusting and
oh, there you go.
almost
Yep.
stuttering. Yeah.
I am proud to say I spent 3 summers right here in Westfield at this school for summer school. Freshman, sophomore, junior year, right here. And there's no award for that. I didn't get a plaque or a T-shirt. You know, it's not even in our school class reunion book there. That's funny. But
Maybe I'll have to make you up a one-off.
yeah, one-off. That'll be funny. Yeah. So, so the problem we're running into now is there's so many children that really want to go into the vocational side, which is a win-win. And I don't think they'll ever deny that. But it's getting to the point where the funding for that is getting crazy. So I think the selectmen or select board and all 3 towns need to relook at that. And I don't know how you can, and I don't know what I'm talking about, but carve it out so each town maybe pays that portion. Because I think there's 32 or 33 kids in Granville that are going right? Times 15,000, 12,000, whatever that magic number
So
is.
put it as part of the assessment to the town for that.
Versus, because some of the assessments that the towns are paying, they're pretty close to that number, never mind the rest of the kids that are in the actual high school, or in all the schools, really.
Yep.
So that has to be relooked at. The way I did the math for the school system for next year, not this budget cycle now, but the following budget cycle, they're probably $600,000 upside down because they used, I'm going to say ARPA funds, but I think it's called Esther. I call it Easter and get everyone upset.
Yep. No, you're right, Esther. Yep.
Esther, yeah. Sorry, everybody. It's not Easter funds. But so they're using a lot of that to help finance some of their programs, which is great, but it's one and done. So I don't know what they're going to do next year.
Right.
I'm not going to have the financing of. We did the math and it was like about $600,000. So I think we're in for.
That's a person you should have on your show, superintendent.
Yeah, I don't. People get nervous. That's the problem with this show. I don't know why, but they don't.
Well, but we have our superintendent. So
You
he
do.
ho-
And
he hosts,
he's doing great.
He hosts his own show, right?
Yeah, literally.
But then he comes on other shows because there's stuff he can't talk about as host
Right.
that he wants to talk about, and he comes on other shows to do that.
Yeah. I don't see my superintendent doing that. I get it. I don't want to be put on the spot. It's too bad. Even other departments, they just look at me and go, "What do you want to do?" Hey, I just want to come on for a half hour. Oh, no. They stick to their budget. They do their job very well. And
But just this is what I'll tell all of your departments.
yeah, go ahead.
Same thing that we've told all our departments here is, we're not talking to you about solving world hunger. We're talking to you
Right.
about stuff that you know.
Right.
And honestly, it's because that we're curious, and that the people in town are curious. And if you demystify what goes on at town hall, it's only better for you.
It
No,
is.
seriously.
No,
because
I
if,
agree.
If they understand, like I've learned a lot about finance, about you coming in and being on finance. I'm learning because you're talking about it,
Right.
and it demystifies it for a lot of people.
I would hope so.
And so that's the point.
Yeah, but unfortunately, and I'm sure.
I mean, you got Cindy on. If you can get Cindy on, I don't understand how you couldn't get everybody.
Let me tell you, that was.
I know
to
that was
get-
like pulling teeth
to
because
get-
she doesn't like being on TV.
The only
period.
reason she came on, honestly, I think, is the show changed, right? So I lost the election. The show changed. I know she felt bad, in general, and she's like, "All right, kid, I'm going to do this for you once," and
But she did a great job, and she always does.
And she always does. Yeah, no,
That's the thing. That's the funny part. I tease her about it when
Yeah.
I see her, because she hates being on TV, and I'm like, I don't understand why. You do an awesome job every time you walk through the door.
Yeah, and she does, and she's so passionate.
I'll give her kudos for that.
So here's the story behind Cindy Sullivan, and I don't have any pictures to show you. 1,000,000 years ago, apparently, and I don't know this. She was, I think, my first or second hire in town.
Okay.
So like four or 5 years later, she goes, "Do you know who I really am, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're Cindy Sullivan. You're related to the Sullivans out of Westfield, the political ones, yada yada yada." And she's like, "No, I'm
Nope.
not." I'm like, "Oh, that's too bad," because the Sullivan. She goes, "My father-in-law was your insurance agent," and I'm going, "Oh my God, yeah, his name was Sullivan, yeah," and I never put two and two together.
Right.
I said, "Well, I hired you, but I didn't hire you that way." She goes, No, I never told you. I was her limo driver at her wedding. And she has pictures of that.
That's awesome.
She's like, "You fluffed my dress, you did this, you did that." And I'm like, "Oh my God, you're kidding." And I vaguely remember.
right, because you did a lot of that.
I did a lot of. We had a limousine business at one time, and we did favors for people, right? So I'm sure my agent said, "Hey, can you help me out on a Saturday? My son's getting married." And I'm sure I must have said, "Oh yeah, whatever. Here we go." But oh yeah, she pulled pictures up of young Joe. I don't know if I was 25, 26.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is funny. But yeah, she does a great job with her seniors. Yeah. They are going to be closing their senior center for about a week, I'm told, or maybe 2 weeks. There's a new heating system going in throughout the whole building, and she's going to have to shut down for a little while. I don't think they're happy about that, but
I'm sure she's made arrangements with Westfield or something.
I'm sure she's figuring it out. I told her, we have the hall down the street if they need it for some of the yoga classes or whatever.
That's a good idea, yeah.
Our place is their place. And then a fun fact, I'm told 1,000,000 years ago that the hall we now own was town hall for a little while. When they revamped the town hall they're in way back when.
And just from the school into the town hall?
The town hall used to be where the police department is upstairs, I believe.
Okay.
Really way back. But something happened at one point because Carl, good old Mr. Steinhardt, You know, Joe, we did have services at that facility for X amount of months when we were rehabbing the building. So, yeah, there's a lot of history there.
Yeah, they did this in Westfield when they moved into the Westwood for a year and a half. I remember that move.
Is the school on Lincoln Street? What are they doing with the school Franklin Avenue? Is that still
so
up?
That project, it came in a little bit over budget, but I think it's moving forward.
Okay. And is the school going to come down, or are they adding on over there?
No, what they're doing is they're going to be the reason they acquired those two houses out front.
Yes.
Is those are demolished now. They had to rehab them because of asbestos.
Oh, of course.
But they're going to build the new school in the front, and then move the kids in from both Abner Gibbs and Franklin Avenue into the new school, and then demolish the old one and redo that's where they're going to redo the ball fields out back.
Okay.
So it's a 2-part process.
Yeah, I went to that school.
They're not going to shut down Franklin Avenue ever.
Right.
They're just going to move the kids from one building to another and incorporate Abner Gibbs at the same time.
But Franklin Avenue school will come down once the
eventually.
Yes,
It will come down.
Yeah.
If you want a brick, get your reservation in with the construction company.
Yeah. No, I went when I got thrown out of St. Mary's in first grade. That's
You went to Franklin Avenue?
I went to Franklin Avenue, yeah, until we moved to Southwick. Yeah, Mr. Wheeler is the only teacher I remember, and I don't know his status today, but he was at the American Inn. And it's funny, he come to the ice cream shop and say, I don't know why, Deedy, but I remember you. And I go, that's funny. I remember you, and I don't know why either. It wasn't because I was a scholar.
A lot of the nuns from Cathedral and Holy Cross remember me because I was very outgoing, but I wasn't in a lot of stuff. But they all know me.
Yeah, so Sister Lillian was the principal of St. Thomas, and for some reason she knew me from first grade. Huh. Very well, actually. I think she might have been my teacher back
They
in
all
the
knew
day.
my father, too, because my father had it out with the nuns in Cathedral and quit school.
Yeah.
And then when his cousin, Father Raymond, who was the president of Holy Cross College, he was a Jesuit priest.
Yeah.
When we went to his funeral, we got on a bus, and there was all these nuns, and they go, Peter Coles.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
We remember you. And my father's like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was like 30 years later.
Yeah, well, through this budget cycle, I have done one thing. They've gave us a ruler, which they've given us for years. You can't even see it because it's clear. But if you look at the videos on what do we have? What are we videotaping with now?
YouTube?
No,
our
Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom.
If you watch me on Zoom, you'll see me smacking my hand a lot.
Yeah.
That's first grade at St. Mary's. It does work though. Instead of swearing, you hit yourself.
Okay.
And you don't swear as much. So I'm getting better, and this is why. Yeah. my Catholic upbringing coming back to me.
All right, so like 2
right.
minutes left.
We're done.
We're done?
We're done. Have a great day, everyone. Play your music, and we'll see you. I'll get a guest on for next time. And well, actually, we'll pre-tape, and then we'll do that pre-tape of the two candidates.
Yeah, we're going to pre-tape that.
And that'll be, we'll play that probably before our next show.
Yeah, we'll do it as a
Depending on the date.
special. We'll do
Yeah.
it as a special, and then it'll be right up on YouTube so you can watch it whenever.
There you go. Have a great day, folks. Thanks for watching.